So what is activism? Activism is our efforts to combat or to respond or to advocate for other issues, for others or for yourself, right? Issues that either you care about or your community cares about. Now, can activism be something that is elite, right? Absolutely, because when we take into account who actually has the capacity to fight for other people, oftentimes it's the people who are privileged enough, who are able to look beyond themselves. I guess the most important part of activism is always self-awareness. How do you make sure that you can empathize with other people? How do you make sure that you are able to listen to others before elevating their voices as well? So, what are some ways of making sure that your activism is not elitist? One is that when you organize events, right? I know a lot of youth activists, a lot of NGOs suka buat event berforum, bicara, sembang kopi and things like that. First of all, your location, your venue, is it something that accessible? A lot of young people, a lot of the B40 communities that we need to fight for, probably don't have a car or don't have easy ways to access your events. Can you do your event online? Is it something that people need internet to dial into? Okay, so when you design events, when you design programs, do you take into account the audience that is coming? Because who are you really speaking to? For example, when we organize events as OD18, we try to make sure that the using of laptops is not required for our programs, because we realize that not everyone's able to afford a laptop. When you design workshops or you design programs, does everyone have a laptop? People probably don't, right? Especially when you design programs for high school students. So how do you make sure that your workshop or your content is accessible to everyone? Secondly, is the language that you use. Do you speak academic language? Do you speak about theories? Do you speak about, you sembang kuat lah, sembang intellectual? Yes, sembang intellectual tak salah. Tapi, orang ramai faham tak? That's the question that I think a lot of people sometimes forget when it comes to speaking to the public or when we do advocacy. When you talk about issues like human rights, talking about issues like women empowerment or youth representation or even orang asli representation, right? Do you speak the language of the people you claim to advocate for? So I think this is something that's very important to remember. Another point is, how do you make sure that your causes or the issues you push for isn't a short sendiri issue? Because sometimes it's not wrong to care about something, but when you think about it, how many people also care about it? Especially for young activists like my peers or someone younger than me, is that we really care about an issue. How do you make sure that it's a relevant issue that's going to be pushed for? So this is when having discourse and having discussions is very, very important to make sure that you are not living in a short sendiri bubble when it comes to tackling issues that you want to push for lah. Contohnya, when Undi 18 started, we started it because we felt like young people were not empowered enough because we couldn't vote. But we thought about it like, is it something that only we care about? Is it because feel like voting is important, so we want it, but do actually young people actually want it? So we went to schools, we spoke to teachers, we spoke to students, we spoke to young professionals, and we asked them, what is their understanding of politics? What is the understanding of a democracy? How do they participate in democracy so far? And what we heard and what we realized is that people don't know how to participate in a democracy. Right? Because they realize that, is it just tweeting a YB? Is it just watching the news? Well, that's not wrong, and that is one way to get updated and to reach out to your representative, but there is also other avenues. And that's what we realized, that we need to communicate to the public that, voting is important. Voting is one great way to participate in a democracy, and in Malaysia, voting determines who are the people in power. So that's why we designed our campaign and our messaging addressing those core issues, and then we realized that, this is how we speak to Malaysians from all backgrounds and Malaysians of all ages.